Just be out with us to Carnival Freedom for a 6-day sailing out of Miami. We had 3 stops. The first one was Dominican Republic, Amber Cove, which is the port for Carnival ships, and it is a short ride away to Puerto Plata. The second stop was the island of Grand Turk, from Turks and Caicos, and the third one is the private island for Carnival cruise ship line, which is Half Moon Cay. We have sailed on quite a few cruises. Our last cruise was Royal Caribbean Oasis of the Seas. We will leave the link in the description below, and we have things to compare to. So in this video we're going to tell you pros and cons of Carnival Freedom.
And to give you a heads up, there will be more cons than there are pros.
And again, this is our personal opinion, our personal experience. If you're sailing first time, for you it might be the greatest ship ever. So this is just our personal experience.
And if you have sailed Carnival Freedom before, leave a comment. Let us know if you agree or disagree, or if you had the same experiences we did.
So let's start with cons, starting with registration and check-in process. What I noticed with booking that was different from other cruise lines is that when you book, you only put information for one guest, and after you pay for the cruise, then you can add the information for your second guest. In other cruise lines, you put information for both guests up front. So when I was trying to add the information for the second guest, the information completely switched. So it swapped the information for the first guest, and for the second guest, my name got added as, my first name got added as TBA, which is to be announced, plus my last name. And I could not edit that at all. So I was a little bit worried if we would even be able to board properly, if they would give us any trouble at all. So comes to check-in process.
Well, the check-in process didn't go that great also. The check-in process, the actual check-in process is fairly simple, but when we got to the front desk, of course, just as Irina said, there was a name issue.
They had a completely different name on our cabin. They had name Patricia there, and they said, oh, maybe you changed your cabin. So she did not change my name to my actual name. She left it as TBA. Rest assured, when we did get to our cabin, and you normally get your room key or cabin key right next to the door, my room key said TBA instead of my first name. So it didn't say Irina, it said TBA.
And that's after we had already at the actual port checked in for the first time, and then they kept checking the cards. So the card said TBA, and no one, and we went through about 3 different checkpoints, and no one didn't notice anything odd that says that it would say TBA, that would be would raise a red flag or anything. They just, let us on board.
So I had to go to guest services and actually request them to give me the card with my actual name.
So one other thing we did notice that was different is we tried to log into the Carnival app to kind of see what the ship had to offer, and lo and behold, we noticed we couldn't technically log in before we cruised. It would kind of bounce us back to like a website, correct? Yeah.
So before, when we cruised with Royal Caribbean, they had a fantastic app. They had the layout of the ship and all the shows, so we could kind of plan and see what it has to offer and get familiar with the ship before we actually get on the ship, but not with Carnival.
Yep, you have to wait till you get on the ship for you to see and for you to get access to what's available on the ship. So one thing that did stand out to us also is that as you're going up the ramp to enter the cruise ship, normally there's, some type of a greeting situation and the excitement is there. For some reason, it wasn't like that on Carnival Freedom. It was kind of just, you just board the ship and that was it. When you did get into the atrium, there was music playing, but again, it wasn't a welcoming feel. It was just kind of just background music playing, and you kind of just walked in.
The staff wasn't welcoming you to have good sailing and good vacation.
Yes. Another situation we ran into, and we didn't know this until after the first day, is that we ordered some drinks, and after a while, the waiter came back and said, "I'm sorry, I can't put your drinks in because your card is coming up declined."
Room card getting declined.
Yeah, again, it's your room card you give. It's not a credit card, right? So we were wondering what was going on. So Irina went to the front desk and kind of sorted that one out.
So they explained to me that our credit card was not added to our account. And again, when we were booking the cruise, there was a field to add credit card on file. So I did that for both of us. And normally when you go through a check-in and the person asks you for if you want to keep the same credit card or not, again, they did not ask us. So I assumed that when we were reserving our cruise, that card stayed and it was fine. So
Right.
we had to actually go back to the guest services, which was really inconvenient.
And add the credit card. And again, that's really odd because normally a credit card is always tied into your cabin because technically that's the way you would pay, right? But you would figure we got all the way up to like almost the second day, and there was no credit card on file. So technically, if we didn't make a purchase, our card wouldn't have been on file, and we wouldn't have even known, which is kind of odd to us.
Day of sailing, your room steward always comes in and greets you, introduces herself or himself. So when our room steward come in, she had completely different names on her itinerary. Not even Patricia, somebody totally different, and she had to make change by herself by hand. She wrote our proper names, and that was another thing that they didn't have our names right.
Yeah, so that's two different names. So I guess their system and the way they updated their system all the way down the pipeline, that didn't happen. So everyone had to do it kind of individually, I guess. So that's kind of odd.
When we sail, we always get premium package for our Wi-Fi, so we can stay in touch with you and we can keep you updated on our travels on Instagram. So if you haven't followed us on Instagram, it is Just Be Out. We will leave the link in the description below.
We do publish a lot of stories while on a cruise on Instagram, so this way you can keep up with our travels and what we're doing and what we're experiencing almost in real time.
So before even boarding on the cruise, I purchased the premium package, and in order to connect to the internet, you have to go to guest services. And when we were trying to connect, the guest services told us super casually, "Oh, by the way, the Wi-Fi is not working today. Hopefully they will fix it tomorrow." So they didn't even address that we should contact them to get the reimbursement for the first day or anything like that. It's like, oh, no big deal. It's just not working today.
And he said, hopefully it will work. So yeah, that was kind of odd. So if you are, one thing we do notice about the internet also, it was really slow, like really slow. It wasn't even megabytes. For upload and download, it was actually kilobytes, so it was really slow. When we tried to upload any photos or any stories for Instagram, it would not go through. So if you are a content creator like we are and you try to upload any photos to Instagram or your stories or Snapchat or anything like that, you may have difficulty doing that, so just be aware.
We actually had to cancel our Wi-Fi package because it was just useless, and mind you, it was a premium package and it would only work for emails or sending text messages. That's it.
Okay, now we're on board. Let's talk about what the ship looked like, the aesthetics of the ship, and how nice is the ship on the interior.
Oh, how not nice.
First off, the ship looks very old and outdated.
Even though it was built in 2007.
Yes, and I am not 100% sure, but someone did mention that this ship was also updated. So even though it was updated, I really don't see how it could be updated. First of all, the colors.
I think only the Comedy Club was updated.
Maybe, which is what we're sitting in right now, is the Comedy Club. So first of all, the colors that's used on the ship throughout the ship is this brown wood looking texture wallpaper type of thing. So all the colors are really dark. It's a combination of black, light beige, and a deep brown.
So it does look very tacky and old. The ship feels very tight. It is a smaller ship, but it feels really tight. The ceilings are low, and I do not like the design at all. And we actually spoke to quite a few passengers, and they did not enjoy the design
Right,
either.
and these are guests that actually it's the first time they're actually sailing on a cruise, and they actually said that, so they felt it also because again we're trying to compare whether for us obviously we've been on other cruise so we could compare it to other cruise, and that might be a little bit unfair because maybe it's newer cruises that we've been on, so it's unfair to, but still as someone who've never sailed before and it's their first time, they did have the same feeling. They felt everything was dark and kind of gloomy and old looking.
And I also do not like the layout of the ship either. There are a lot of ways where the ship was blocked. So when you walk out of the elevator and you want to go to, for example, from back to the front, the entire walkway is blocked and there is no way to go through. You would actually have to go
Up or
to,
down.
yeah, to the fifth floor, and then through the fifth floor you can go all the way through the entire length of the ship. But some floors are completely blocked, and it did make me feel a little panicky when you walk out and you're like, oh my god, where do I go? It's everywhere is blocked.
Is blocked off, yeah. And you would think, I think because the ship is smaller, you would think you're able to find things much easier because it's a smaller ship. But when we sailed on Oasis of the Sea, which is much larger, it's actually easier to find things on the Oasis of the Sea on a larger cruise ship because everything is just bigger, right? So the layout is much more spaced out, and it's much easier to find things than it is on this ship. This ship, it's really kind of like narrow and tiny and very maze like. I feel like I'm going through like a little rat's maze to find different things. Like for example, to go to the gym, you got to go through the spa, and it splits male female, then it comes together
Lockers.
right through the lockers, and then you enter the gym. So it's really odd. Also, another thing is that you'll notice when you say go to a bar or a lounge or a theater or any major place that you would visit on the ship, they have these LED lights above that tells you the name of the area you're walking into. Now, when I say LED lights, these are tiny little LED lights spaced off about a quarter of an inch, and they slowly brighten and they slowly darken, and then they change colors, and the colors are dark. It is almost virtually impossible to read. And who has patience to actually stand there and look to figure out where you are? And it's like the lights are slowly, it looks very like
Yeah.
70s. I
Yes,
kid you not.
some colors are not even legible, so
Yeah, it's
you
like a
need
deep
to wait
purple.
for it to change different color to actually read, and you have to be at the right angle and right distance to read those signs.
So that's really odd. It again, that gives the ship such an overall old feel.
And usually guest services are located in the atrium, but because the ship is so tight, the guest services is right across the stage where bands perform, and when they do perform, it is loud.
It is
So
loud.
if you need to have any issues addressed in the guest services, you literally have to yell because you cannot even hear
Right.
each other.
And that's because the atrium is really, it's very tiny and it's very like tubular. So it's not wide open, and it's always an issue talking to the receptionist because there's always music playing in the atrium. Also, another reason why things are also difficult to find on the ship, I believe, is that throughout the ship, the color, the scheme, the wallpapers, it's pretty much all the same. So on other cruise ships, we notice it's almost themed like. So you have an area,
Sections,
right,
yeah.
that's maybe green, and another area that's purple, and then another area that's red. So all these little places have their own color schemes, their own design, their own themes. This ship, it's not. It's just one thing throughout. So it's easy to get lost. Even going to the rooms, like every floor is kind of like the same, and it's hard to figure out what floor you're on. The signage, when you come out the elevator, it's not really clear right away what floor you're on. It's just
You
the
need to
signage
look
is
like on the side of the elevator to make sure you're on the right floor.
absolutely.
And another thing that I noticed that usually library is supposed to be a quiet place, but the library is also located right next to the atrium. So when you have a band playing, it is noisy in the library.
Right,
And
the moment you open the door, all the noise from if there's someone speaking on the PA system or whatever, it just filters right into the library. That's the first time I actually seen that, because actually all the cruises we've been on, the library is usually located near the spa, because the spa is usually a quiet area, or it's located on the deck where there's really not much going on, so it's super quiet in the library. Let's talk about safety concern, and with that I mean COVID. How does this ship deal with the COVID situation right now?
we're still sailing during COVID times, so obviously for some people it is a concern, for some people it's not. Well, how Carnival is different is just a month ago they removed a mandatory mask mandate for passengers inside. So obviously when you go outside you do not need to wear a mask, but now even passengers inside do not need to wear a mask. So come into a comedy club, you do not need to wear a mask, but all crew members do wear masks.
On all cruise ships we've been on, every time you're approaching into the dining area, whether it's evening dinner or the buffet area, there's usually someone stationed at the entrance and the exit with a bottle of sanitizer, and it's your washy happy time.
And that was even pre-COVID.
Yes, that was pre-COVID. Here on the Carnival, there is none of that. The entrance and the exits have no one there to I guess to enforce you washing your hands, or to even sanitize your hands a little bit. And we find that kind of odd, because again, this is the first cruise ship we've ever been on where that has happened, pre-COVID and now being that we're just coming out of COVID, you would think that still would be a thing, but on this ship particularly, it's not. Let us know in the comment if you've been on other cruise ships where they haven't been someone at the front of the buffet entrance to the buffet area or the dining area, and they enforce you kind of just sanitizing your hand before entering.
And there are sanitizing stations everywhere, and I'm specifically looking at other passengers. I only saw one time for the entire 6 days, one time I saw people use hand sanitizers.
And also, majority of the people, I have seen a few people wearing masks even indoors here as they go into the casinos or into the shows and stuff. They are wearing masks, but for the most part, I think I could safely say from what I've seen, a good 98% of the people are not wearing masks,
including us.
Yes.
Another thing that I notice here on Carnival, it is a self-served buffet.
Yes, that has definitely changed.
So no sanitizing hands before buffet. People serve themselves. Some people serve themselves with their hands.
Yeah, that we've seen as well. And it's a funny thing now, because ever since COVID, you know, whenever you cruise, they would actually have a server to serve you whatever you want. If you want more of anything, you just ask for it and then they'll put it on your plate. Now I notice obviously that's not the case. We're going back to the way it was pre-COVID. And for me, looking at it, like, again, I saw a kid like grab a shrimp or a fried shrimp or whatever it was with their hands right out of the buffet tray. And also you see people kind of just digging in with the thongs and just like slapping the food on their plate. And then like when it's your turn, when you see them kind of dig into the food like that, it doesn't even look appetizable by the time it gets up to you and everyone has already gouged into the food. It looks so like dilapidated and messy, and it's like you don't get the right portions because someone is not there, you know, serving you and making sure you get the portions that, you know, that you want. So personally, I kind of like the fact of someone serving you, because you could always ask for more. I know for some people, they might not want to seem greedy or gluttonous by asking for more, but obviously on a cruise ship, that's not even an issue. So I definitely prefer it where you're being served. At least things look a little bit more neater and a little bit more organized, and I think things are sped up a little bit more too, because a lot of times we notice when you're standing in the buffet line, people are very pick and choosy. They're like, they pick up a piece of meat, they look at it, they put it back down, they, you know, they're searching through and they're looking for the best cut or the best whatever it is they're picking up, and they're sifting through, and some people just are really slow, so it just slows down the line.
And again, it could be pro for somebody to be self-serving. For us personally, it is a con.
Yeah, it's definitely a con. Another thing we did notice is that as far as the social distancing goes, as we say that there is none, that's definitely apparent. There's times we've gotten in the elevator and there's about 14 people in the elevator and it's just so packed, and it's like, wow. So even now, coming out of COVID, people still don't have it ingrained in their mind that, you don't want to overcrowd anything. You give yourself some space, but I think it's all kind of going away really quickly, and people were just crowding into elevators, in the jacuzzis. I mean, a jacuzzi, based on the size of the jacuzzi on the ship, you can tell when a jacuzzi is at its maximum. For some people, they try to squeeze in, and the jacuzzi always seems way more crowded than what it should be. Okay, since we were talking about buffet and all that stuff, let's get into the food part on the ship.
Dining. And again, for a lot of people, they look forward to dining on the ship because usually the food is really good. Our last ship on the Oasis of the Seas, we actually experienced the best food on the ship. That was Royal Caribbean. Carnival Freedom, we're not looking forward to eating here.
Definitely not JPO approved. Let's start off with the food is overall is just really bland.
There are very limited choices, no salt, no flavor, and even the presentation is not
Yes,
that
the
great.
presentation is definitely lacking. And now we're talking specifically about, say, the dinner. I remember I think on the first night, I ordered grilled salmon. Well, the salmon came, but there was no grill marked on it. It more looked like boiled salmon because it was just pink. There was no grill mark, and it had a little piece of broccoli, a slice of carrots, and I think a little piece of cauliflower, and it looked like it was just kind of thrown on the plate. That was all that was on the plate. So it presentation wise, that just went right through the window. And of course the salmon tasted bland.
No salt in it.
Yeah, for sure. We were disappointed several times at dinner, and normally we look forward, you guys know as well, we are foodies and we look forward to the dinner time. In all actuality, we missed it after we had dinner twice. So on the first night, on the second night, after that, we never went back to dinner, just because, not even because we thought maybe the food was going to be bad, but it was just, it wasn't, it was a
excited.
yeah, we weren't excited about going to dinner. And after those 2 nights, it was just like, yeah, I don't see nothing to look forward to, and we just never went back to dinner. So we had like kind of buffet food, and it was just fine.
Just something to
Yeah.
hold you off and give you energy
Exactly.
to do anything else. And even speaking of dinner, again, we booked very last minute, a day before sailing, and the only option was available is the strict 6 p.m. dining. And even though, yes, we did have dining time on our previous cruise, but you can, even if you're late, you can still walk in and be seated and be fed. Not on Carnival. On our very first night, we were late for our dinner. They would not seat us. They did not allow us to go to the free time dining area, and the only option to eat was actually to go to the second seating option, which was 8:15 p.m., which is pretty late.
Yeah, and they did send us to another restaurant. They said that restaurant should be able to take care of you. We went to the other restaurant in the front of the ship, and they said, no, unfortunately, like, this is not your restaurant. You're assigned another restaurant, so you should actually go to that restaurant, but don't worry about it. They should start the next seating in about 40 minutes. So we were kind of just waiting to eat, and that felt really odd.
So in between those times, they closed the doors, even though all people already finished their meals, and the restaurant was empty. Everybody was crowding outside the restaurant waiting for their seating time, and they were only allowed to go in after they opened doors exactly at 8:15.
Right, so it's almost like they closed everything up, reset everything, and then started the next batch of people to come in based on your time schedule. So that felt a little odd. Also, speaking about dining, so we noticed on the menu for dining, they had one night they had beef tongue, and the other night they had frog legs. Now,
peach soup.
Yes, peach soup. So some of the items on the menu is kind of really odd. It catches you by surprise. You're not used to seeing that. And for example, I mean, frog legs. Now, we all know that there is such a thing as frog legs, but personally, I would only try frog legs if I'm in France, because that's where it's like the most popular,
Or
and I'm
at least
sure
in an official French restaurant.
exactly. So I know that's it's probably going to taste as good as it could possibly be, But on this cruise ship, with even salmon, them not really getting it right, why would I go and try frog legs? Yeah, that was not gonna happen. And of course, beef tongue. Yeah, that wasn't gonna happen either. So that was kind of odd.
And even in the buffet, they have, normally in the buffets they have an Asian section, Indian section, Italian section. Here in the buffet you have just about 10 choices of hot meal options, about 2 chicken, 1 fish, and a couple of beef options. And
Yeah, the options are
that's about
super,
it.
super limited.
I've
Really,
never
really
seen a
limited.
buffet being that
Even
limited.
for breakfast. So, for example, on the first day, for all you bacon lovers, you would have been really disappointed because there was no bacon on the first day for breakfast.
There are no waffles.
Yeah, there are no waffles.
There is no salad station for breakfast either. In order to
Right.
get spinach from me, I had to go to the omelet station and get spinach from omelet station, and only one omelet station had spinach.
Yeah. On the second day, though, back to the bacon. Back to the bacon situation. They did have bacon on the second day, but they didn't have it on the third. So it was like one day have it, one day they don't. One day they have it. So it was like a off and on. And as we mentioned before, you can basically serve yourself because buffet style. Not for the bacon. It seemed like the bacon was a very rare commodity on the ship because they had someone there waiting to serve you bacon. So everyone was asking for bacon, and then they would put a few slices. And majority of the times, I would hear people say, "Can I have more?" So it seems like they were rationing the bacon for some reason or the other. Not sure why.
And even the way the buffet is arranged, normally there are little stations everywhere throughout the dining area where you can just come and pick what you want. Here it's just one line, and you have to stay in line. Even if you want just one item, you have to stay in line and wait for people to go through the entire line and then come in and get your that one item.
Yeah, it seems kind of weird. But again, we understand this is an older ship, and that's the designs of the older ship. The newer ships, if you haven't been on one, most of the food stations are round, which is really cool because it's technically, you just go around, pick what you want. You don't really have to stand on line, as Irina said, to just get one item if you needed just that one item. So that's definitely an improvement in the way they design these ships.
And even in the buffet, when they have a cheese plate, there are only 2 or 3 kinds of cheeses, and they have like 10 slices of cheeses.
Yeah.
And that's it. And the same with the meats, like ham and turkey. They only have 3 slices of turkey. Of course they will bring more, but you would, I guess, have to wait if they ran out.
Right.
But it feels cheap.
Yeah.
It feels like they don't even like bring everything they have and trying to ration.
Yeah, and I have had conversation with many of the guests on board because I was always interested to hear how they feel about it. Giving me their opinion, and a lot of people. I think one thing everyone has in common on the ship is because the cruise was very, very cheap. It was very cheap, and when I was talking to a guest, she said she was complaining about the different little things here and there that we've mentioned also, and I said, well, I guess that's what you have to come to expect, being that the price was really low. She said it really shouldn't work that way. Just because the price is cheap doesn't mean they should sacrifice the quality and the experience on the cruise. And I had to fall back on that one. I was like, you know what, you're absolutely right.
And also for the buffet, they have very odd hours of operating the buffet. So for example, for lunch, the buffet is open only from 12 to 2:30. Dinner from 6 to 9.
Then they have this midnight buffet at 12.
Midnight snack at 11:30. So yesterday we were in the jacuzzi for a while, and at about 9:15 we wanted to stop by and grab something to eat because again the main dining area is already closed, and we found out the buffet is also already closed. So the only two options was available was pizza, which was terrible for me specifically, and the sandwich shop was
and
open.
the sandwich shop is actually pretty good.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, she had a tuna melt and I had a Cuban sandwich, and it was spot on for me. So let's talk about the entertainment on this ship.
For this specific sailing, we have 3 full days at sea, and again, after your shore excursions in the evening, you might want some entertainment as well.
So for the shows that we experienced here on this cruise, they were mediocre at best.
In the theater there are no acrobats. There was one show with just piano playing, which is maybe it's good for you, but for us it's boring. There was a show for 80s
80s.
music. Tonight there's a show with Stevie Wonder.
Right, so throwbacks.
Right,
And
so
it's kind of just music, people singing these type of songs. It's nothing really theatrical, nothing like, like a Broadway show or anything like that you would come to think of when, going to a theater on a cruise.
So as far as entertainment, it's pretty disappointed. Every single night we've been going for a comedy show. I think this is the most comedy I've had in a long time. They have about 5 different comedians and only 2 of them are really good.
Yeah, but they were really good, that's for sure. We had a belly laughs when we were at the shows. Let's get into the inconveniences on the ship that we experienced.
Well, first of all, the safe system is really old and weird. You have to use a credit card in order to lock and unlock your safe. And even at that, it doesn't even work all the time. Sometimes I would slide my credit card to lock and it will beep that it's unlocking. And not only that, once you lock your safe with a credit card, what are you going to do with the credit card? You either have to take it with you or try to hide it somewhere in the room, which is really odd.
And not only that, we tried using another credit card after we locked it with one credit card, and that credit card actually opened it.
Yep.
Right? So it seems like any credit card could open the safe, which is, again, just kind of weird.
It is supposed to be a fun ship, that's what they say, but in the adult side of the pool there was no music on deck at all.
Yeah.
They were playing music so low.
It was so low, it was like...
And after people talking, you can't even hear anything. Only in the quietness you hear somewhere from the speaker. It was super, super low.
So we did notice there weren't any clocks also, because normally on cruise ships they do have kind of clocks posted around, so you can keep track of time, because you could be in a jacuzzi like we were, kind of just yapping the time away, or in the pool, and you have your dinner time that you have to make sure you make, otherwise you won't be eating, or different things you need to do, spas or shows you want to make. Yeah, there was really, I couldn't find any clocks around the ship. Also, speaking of different things to do on the ship, normally you get a printed itinerary in your room every single evening. This way the next day you know what's available. Well, here on the Carnival Freedom, there were no printed material itinerary style for sure.
You can only see through the app, so you have to make sure you download the app before boarding. This is the only way you can see what's happening on the ship, what are the dining options and things like that.
So if you're not cell phone savvy, you might have a little problem.
And also we noticed when there is a port date, usually they put it on the itinerary what time you have to disembark and what time you have to be on board. And on other cruise ships, once you go on shore, when you scan your card, they tell you, they have a time posted what time you have to be back on board, and they actually even tell you in person, be sure you're back by 4 o'clock, and they make sure you know what time
It's
you
really
have
clear.
to be back.
Also, another thing we noticed,
But wait, not on Carnival. But not on Carnival. They only had one time that we heard they had an announcement what time you can disembark and what time you have to be back on ship. But again, those announcements, if you're, let's say, in the bathroom, you might not even hear, and that's probably what happened to and that's probably what happened to us 2 other days that we went on shore. We didn't hear any announcements, so we had no idea. We had to actually go to the guest services and ask what time we can disembark, what time we have to be back on ship.
And it seemed like that was a common problem, because even when we went to Half Moon Cay, I was walking around and I had 2 people approach me and say, hey, do you know what time we're supposed to be back on the Tinder to get back on the ship? So apparently, again, it's not that clear where everyone is on the same page, everyone knows what time you're supposed to be back. Another inconvenience that we've heard of and not personally actually witnessed ourselves because we're not drinkers are people who have purchased the drink package. Now, technically, when you buy the drink package, you drink X amount while you're on the cruise. Well, that only applies for when you're on the cruise. One of the stops we made was Half Moon Cay, and what a lot of people did not know was when you disembark off the ship and you're on that island and you try to use your key card or your drink, key card to purchase your drink through the drink package that you purchased initially, it does not work. You have to pay separately when you're on their private island for any drinks that you want.
And even though the drinks are exactly the same, Carnival branded drinks, like for example beer cans that have Carnival logo on it, the exact same beer that you get here on the ship, that is a part of your drink package. Unfortunately, on the private island, it does not work.
Does not apply there, and that's a big gotcha for a lot of people who did not know that. So now you're on an island that has no shade, not unless you had purchased a cabana, which you have to purchase separately, and you're thirsty and you're on that island for what, 6 hours or so, you are almost forced to actually purchase a drink. And that didn't rub well with a few people that we spoke to because they felt like
Cheated.
Yeah, like they were cheated and they didn't know about it and they don't understand why that would be, but it is. Based on our experiences, we were looking for certain things on the ship that we couldn't find, and we asked the crew members. Well, it seems they weren't too familiar with the ship as well. I booked a spa for Irina to attend, and I asked one of the women I saw in the hallways. I was like,
Thank you.
of course. I said, where is the spa? And she said, oh, the spa? I think it's on the 12th floor, if I'm not mistaken. I don't even know if they actually have a 12th floor, or she said the 10th or something, but it's on the 11th floor. She wasn't sure. Then we asked someone on another date, where is actually the library? We wanted to see if we can go there and actually shoot this content. He was confused. He said, I think it's on such and such floor. But the moment we asked, it wasn't an immediate answer. You could tell they're kind of just fishing just to kind of give you something. And we knew he didn't know.
It wasn't clear directions. You have to go this way, then make a left or whatever.
Yeah, he didn't know. He was guessing.
No, exactly. It's like they're working on the ship just in their section.
Right, that's all they know.
And they have no idea. They do not know the stops. We asked what's the name of the island. They don't know anything
right outside
about
the ship. Once we got off the ship, the crew that's kind of just right outside the gangway, we're like, oh, what was the name of this ship again? Because we were doing it for the vlog. We asked what was the name of this island, and because we were vlogging, and they were like, I don't know. And I asked 3 people, like literally they were a few feet apart, and all of them did not know. I asked 3 different people and none of them knew. So again, that felt kind of weird. I'm like, how could they not know? They do this all the time.
So let's get into pros.
Yes. Again, this is a vacation. We don't want to end this video on being, Debbie Downers. So let's end it on a high note. And we're going to get into some pros.
Pro that anybody on the ship can tell you about is the price of the ship. This was the cheapest cruise ship I've ever seen. So we needed to get away really fast, so we just jump on the ship. And another pro that the reason why we booked it was the stops. We actually really enjoyed all 3 stops. They were fantastic. If you want to see our experience on each stop, we will leave the links in the description below.
And of course, we do have a walking channel where we walk the entire premises of our stops. There's no talking, there's no commentary. It's just a complete walkthrough of the entire area wherever it is we go, and we'll leave a link to that channel down in the description so you guys can check it out also.
Another pro that I noticed on any other ship that we sailed, your room key card doesn't have a punch hole. This one automatically comes with a punch hole, and this is actually for my mask, and I clipped this the room key on our mask holder, so it was pretty convenient.
One that Irina seems to like, and she mentioned, is the spacing in the bathroom. You want to explain that?
So normally on any other cruise ships that we sailed on, the bathroom has maybe just 1 or 2 shelves. This bathroom has 6 shelves, and it's really cool because you have 3 on one side and 3 on the other side, kind of like his and hers.
Another pro on this ship is the service. So from your room steward to the people who are picking up after you when you're eating, they have been amazing. They have been on point. We did run into some situation where we felt not, some cruise ships we've been on, everyone who works on the cruise ship says, "Hi, how you doing? Hey, how is it?" And you're walking by them and they greet you. Here, not so much.
They just mind their own business.
Right,
They're
and
just
go about,
doing their job.
they're just doing their job.
They do it well,
Yes.
but it's not really that friendly feel.
Yes, there are some few that I have seen, and they're very bubbly, of course, and cheery, and whoever it is that they're, I guess, waiting on at the dining room table, they're a goofball, and everyone loves that, right? So there were a few instances, but for the most part, it seems like they stayed in their lane, and they just did what they had to do, and as Irina mentioned, they do it actually very well. So we hope that this information we gave you actually helps you when coming aboard the Carnival Freedom. Again, these were our personal experience. Hopefully you don't have the same experience, but if you have sailed this ship, does any of the things we mentioned in this video sound familiar to you, or maybe not? Actually, leave a comment and let us know if you experienced some of the same things we have, or your experience was actually totally different in a good way. So thank you so much for watching, and as usual, just be out with us.